Hi YouTube, let's talk about shame. Come here, let's talk about it. Firstly, shame is experienced as a shut down state in your nervous system. So it is the immobilization of your energy, your creative life force energy, the energy that you have to create with. You are in a state of survival, even if it's subtle and you're not aware of it. Secondly, someone is absolutely counting on your shame, whether unconscious or not, as their revenue source. The film and media industry, the beauty industry, the corn industry, and science. When you are experiencing shame, it is a physiological state that takes over your body. And most women that I work with are like, but I don't really feel shame. I wouldn't call it shame. That's okay. You can call that sensation whatever you want, but the immobilization, the feeling of not being worthy, or the feeling of being stuck and unable to move forward towards what you desire, that is an immobilized state, and that happens physiologically. It's not a mental one, not solely anyways. And what's happening is your HP axis is being activated. That is the body's natural stress response, and it happens before we're even consciously aware of it. This is releasing cortisol and stress hormones, and while that is happening, this is all in the absence of the opposite, the antithesis, which is oxytocin and slow pleasure. Do you see where I'm going here? The myelinated vagus, or what Stephen Porges describes as a third state, or what I like to describe as the realm of possibility and capability. You know those moments when you feel truly capable. You're relaxed, you're at ease, you see opportunity. That is a state in your nervous system, and it is not present fully when we are also in that immobilized state that is brought on by shame. There's a sensation that lives behind it, and it is an immobilized state in your nervous system that we then can kind of pinpoint at shame. You cannot fully access your regulation, your nourished state of being, your potential, your capacity, while relating to yourself and to others and the world through shame. And what is so interesting to me is that our pleasure as women seems to be really bound with shame. And I don't think that that is an accident. The irony is, people with the most pride, the inability to make mistakes, the inability to apologize, the inability to operate outside of their own perfectionism, usually feel that they have no shame, that they are completely free from that. And that's also because they don't even allow themselves the possibility of experiencing that might live in their body. It's ironic. It's like a fish that doesn't know that they're swimming in water. And I don't say that to call you out. I mean, I'm speaking to my former self, truly. And I needed to hear that. And maybe you do too. Maybe you're open-minded enough to start to connect the dots here and start to think about the complexity of your female nervous system, and that even if you're not aware of it, and I guarantee you that when you start to confront your shame head on with precision and with strategy, you will realize that you will achieve more by doing less. And that's signed a former absolute perfectionist. And similar to the vein of a fish that doesn't see the water it swims in, a woman living in chronic shame does not necessarily have a self-esteem issue. And that might be exactly why she doesn't recognize it. So let's go a little deeper with this. The unconscious aspect of that shame is critical, right? Because we were never taught to work with our own shame. We were never taught how it's physiological and it impacts your nervous system. And so that shame just kind of lingers, right? Because it's like we have no place to put it. In this sense, it is your own state of being that your nervous system reads as a threat, a perceived threat. The ruminating thoughts, the past that you just keep shoving down, that actually acts on your nervous system like a threat, physical threat in the here and now. So let's zoom out a little bit. Let's think about what is being sold and commodified towards women today. Products for anxiety, products for insomnia, products for weight loss, products to make your vulva smell better, products to turn off your period, the BC, products for not feeling like enough, something that that you could just easily purchase that's just gonna make you feel better. And none of them get to the root cause. They are all meant to be a superficial distraction. Don't get me wrong, I love makeup, I love to get ready, but I know that no amount of makeup, no amount of self-care is going to fundamentally change the way that I feel, because that is a blueprint in my nervous system. That is a reflection of my nervous system capacity. The only thing that shifts that is nervous system work, specifically for the female nervous system. And still, the superficial, the stick a band-aid on it and call it done, is a billion industry. These are not separate problems that need separate solutions. Seeking someone outside of us to make it better, make it go away, we are driving ourselves towards anything that will keep us from just feeling what needs to be felt and digested. And we are so far down this path that we have practically normalized this state of being. Living with constant low-grade dysregulation and chronic stress, that the symptoms that come from that are simply another opportunity for these industries to sell us back another product. Instead, I'm encouraging you to start thinking about your shame, your unprocessed shame, your unprocessed emotions as something that you will benefit from digesting and tackling head on more than anything else that can be sold to you. And I also encourage you to think about this as a skill. Give yourself the opportunity to learn this as a skill. Let's turn to a study from the University of North Carolina that measured what happens to cardiovascular stress after presence and touch. They found that 10 minutes of warm presence followed by 20 seconds of physical contact with consent, of course, measurably changed how the body responded to stress. 20 seconds. Now ask yourself, when was the last time you gave your body that kind of intentional presence without any distractions? Not rushing through it, not multitasking, not treating it like another to-do on your list, with the kind of slow presence that makes you moan, sigh, breathe heavily, and simply be present. And I'm not talking about the big O either. We think taking a shower and getting in bed is just enough. But our nervous system, our bodies are not machines. We don't just turn the switch off. We need a way to down-regulate, to digest the weight of the day, to shift into a state where we can actually have the deepest rest possible in order to recover. And I'm telling you, our female nervous systems need this now more than ever. Connect this back to the research I presented in video 1 of this 2-part series. Oxytocin can be released through non-social stimuli. So your own touch over your skin, your own intentional practice of eliciting oxytocin does impact your nervous system, and it is what your body is craving. And the question I get asked the most by you ladies is, do I need a partner to do this nervous system work to produce oxytocin? And no, you don't. In fact, I think it's better that you engage in these practices and the work that I teach on your own, so that you can establish what pleasure is, the pace, the parts of your body, the kind of breath, the kind of expression that is completely free from anybody else. It's simply for you. On top of that, we need a path towards digesting the shame that many women feel about becoming that person for herself, about being a woman who is intentional about producing her own oxytocin and having her own pleasure practice beyond a vibrational device without a partner. Here's what I believe is going on, and I'm just going to say it plainly. Society did not accidentally shame female pleasure. It did not accidentally separate pleasure and motherhood. It did not accidentally embed into our minds that bleeding equals pain. It commodified our pleasure first, it turned it into a product to be marketed and sold back to us. It took something that belongs to you and might even be the most intimate thing that belongs to you as an experience and turned it into something you consume. And I think most women, especially with social media, are sold this idea that materialism and consumption is all that is tied to their femininity, to their womanhood, and even to their self-worth. And there's nothing wrong with indulging and expressing yourself. There is, though, something really sinister about not having pleasure beyond what we can consume, beyond what is being marketed to us, beyond what exists outside of us. Furthermore, we were also taught that our actual kind of female pleasure, like the real way that our body warms up, how long it takes, how much oxytocin we actually need, how long it actually takes to feel aroused, and to channel that aroused, creative life force energy, that arrows towards our art and towards our work, that kind of pleasure beyond the male gaze was also shamed. It was also marked as too much, too sensitive, boring, you name it. That slow pleasure, the one without an agenda, the one that doesn't require a partner, the one that happens in the mundane, Monday to Sunday, 5 minutes here, 10 minutes there, 30 minutes there, the one that is just for you, that one cannot be commodified and sold back to you. When you understand how your shame is something that you carry in your body as a nervous system state, and that this is likely by design, the pleasure practice, the work of learning how to produce your own oxytocin, what the right dosage is for you, how to leverage your female nervous system, that work does not feel indulgent anymore. It feels necessary, and it's quite honestly very serious. Instead of asking ourselves, oh, can I really afford to, find the time for that? I think we should ask ourselves, can I afford not to? In my life, my pleasure practice has taken on many different forms, especially depending on where I am and what I'm going through in my life. And I remember a time in my life when touching my own body, like intentionally and slowly, was absolutely way too much. It was too activating. I literally couldn't do it. And if I would have forced my body past that, I would have only deepened the trauma around my relationship to safety. And that's why I'm passionate about this work, because we need to meet our bodies where we are, let that be enough, and find the appropriate dosage for where we are today. That's the only path forward. The female body really does not respond well to force or to forcing open, right? By the way, this is what we are doing in Embodied Female Pleasure. It's happening June 26th to the 28th. It's live. I really hope to support you. We will be, of course, going through the theory, the science, how I understand it, how I apply it, and then a practice where we will move intentionally at the pace that is right for you. So it doesn't matter if you're a complete beginner to this work or if you're well seasoned and you just want a nice experience to kind of come together with women who are valuing how much their pleasure is not a commodity to be consumed, but is something to be embodied for herself. I invite you. I want you to know that if the information is not always landing, it's probably because you don't need more information. You don't need more analysis. You need an experience. You need something that's going to teach you through your own two hands meaning that is beyond the intellectual realm. And that's what I hope to provide. I love you and I hope to see you. As always, I love your comments. Please like and subscribe, and it's a pleasure.